knew I always wanted to be a coach, and I didn't know how that was going to look. And kind of probably about halfway through my senior year of high school, I was talking with a teacher. She unfortunately passed away a few months ago, Miss Avery, here at Forestview. And she was like, well, why don't you, become a teacher? And because I told her I wanted to coach, I wanted to come back and try to give back to people that helped me in the community that helped me.
Joins me right now. He's the men's basketball coach for Forestview High School, but more importantly, the reason why I want to talk to him is because his day job, he's the PE coach there. So, Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. So let's go back to when you were a kid, right? Mm-hmm. What was sports like growing up? Like, what kind of kid were you?
Well, I was a all-around athlete. Like, I tried to participate in everything I could, but, obviously I wasn't good at some things. But the two things, or really three things I stuck with was football, basketball, and baseball. And football was more of the thing that I enjoyed the most. But I played those three throughout my whole life until I graduated and went to college and focused on football.
Why do you think, outside of the fact that you said that those were the three you were good at, why do you think you stuck with those sports and not other sports? Like, what connected for you with that?
One, just the relationships that I built with my friends over the years. I had a couple really close friends in that process that I truly enjoyed just being around and enjoyed the environments. I was blessed to say this. I had a lot of very good coaches that didn't care about the wins and losses, but they just cared about the relationships they built. And I've seen them out in public now, and being a grown man, being able to still just tell them thank you for that that's a lot of the reason why I just stayed around and enjoyed it.
So you mentioned coaches that you had were more than wins and losses. So that's the whole idea of like this podcast and why I started it. There's so much more, I think, to sports, especially like high school sports and, just youth sports other than wins and losses. Like you can basically control a whole young man or young woman's life, just how you interact with them and how you coach them. Is there a specific coach going back to you that impacted you specifically? You mentioned the ones that you run into now. Like, is there anybody you can think of specifically?
The one that impacted me, in my opinion, and just I think my whole family would agree because he's somebody that believed in me, but Chris Medlin, the old football coach here at Forestview, he just retired, I think last year. And I was actually blessed to be able to come back and be an assistant under him and see him from a different point of view. And he was the one person that brought me back to Forestview because I was at the middle school level and then at the high school level at different high schools. And I wanted to be back here at Forestview, and he was the main drive behind me getting back because he called and offered me a job, and I was very excited to accept it. So,
is your conversation with the kids different when you've worked for a coach that you once played for? Like, is it different? Like, because you kind of know like where he's coming from, and essentially you've seen it work, because like you lived it, and obviously it worked enough for you that you wanted to come back and do it again as a like as a coach with him. So, is your conversation with the kids different?
Yeah, they're different in the sense of like I want guys to truly understand like that because I think there's a whole stigma out against coaches that some coaches are trying to hold some kids back, and the vast majority of us, I will say, and I'm not saying that there isn't those type of coaches, but they hold grudges or whatever. But like the vast majority of us don't want to do that, and we want to see everybody succeed that's on the team in some way, shape, or form. So when I have conversations with the kids, like it really is coming from hey, I was your age and I actually played under this guy. And, a lot of the stuff that he said was very similar to the stuff he's saying now. And now being a coach, I see where he's coming from, because at the end of the day, even, being the head basketball coach, at the end of the day, you are the head coach and you are a coach in general, and it falls back on you regardless. It doesn't matter. So, I understand that you want to do it and you're going to do it your way and have your brand, because that way you can at least, go to sleep at night, lay your head on the pillow knowing like, hey, we did it the best way I could possibly do it. And I tried to relay that to the athletes that I'm coaching right now, and, and the future athletes, that it's not their name, it's my name that gets drug in the mud or that gets the praise or whatever. And I'm going to make sure that we do it the right way. And that's a lot of what Coach Medlin has taught me as being a coach. He had his set of rules. He had his guidelines that he followed, or his philosophy that he followed. And it was just interesting from the player point of view, and then now the coaching point of view, just seeing how it actually unfolds and how he plans and how he wanted to do it now is something that I've taken myself to try to do as well.
Let's go back to you in high school. What was the plan? Like, what was your goal? You said that you went to play football for college. So, like, what was your end goal originally?
So, as a kid, like, I had the playing the NFL dream or whatever. But as I got older, I realized that, like, that's very far. And but I do know that I was a good enough player to maybe play at the next level. And so my goal was just to play at the next level, whether it was Division I or FCS or D2 or D3, and just figure out a way to get on a team. For me, high school looked a lot like just working out and practices and late nights, getting home from games and practices and stuff like that, and doing the extra training on the side with, so that's what my high school looked like for me. But the end goal was the next level. Sorry.
So at what point do you realize, all right, I've done it. I think I'm at the max where I can go. Like, I'm not going to go pro. This is where I'm at. At what point does that sink in with you? And at what point do you spin to, I'm going to become a PE coach? Like, when does that happen?
Well, so I knew that, like, going pro was far-fetched probably about my 10th grade year, sophomore year, high school. But like I said, I knew I could get on a team somewhere. And, very thankful for Curtis Walker. He was the head coach at Catawba College in Salisbury, but he is now a coach somewhere else. But very thankful for him to give me the opportunity to come and play at Catawba. And then really when I got to Catawba, like, the goal there was, like, I knew I always wanted to be a coach, and I didn't know how that was going to look. And kind of probably about halfway through my senior year of high school, I was talking with a teacher. She unfortunately passed away a few months ago, Miss Avery, here at Forestview. And she was like, well, why don't you, become a teacher? And because I told her I wanted to coach, I wanted to come back and try to give back to people that helped me in the community that helped me. And I didn't know a way to do that other than potentially, like, just being, like, trying to, like, be a graduate assistant. And she's like, well, why don't you just come back and maybe be a teacher? And so, like, really I entered college my freshman year kind of knowing that, like, this is what I want to do. And this is the route that I'm going to take. Now, being a PE teacher, obviously being a sports guy, I felt like that was the best avenue to try to pursue and follow, and, ended up there. So it ended up working out in the way that I planned on it, because I was able to graduate, and last game of the year last game of my career, I knew it was it. And it was an emotional day, but I was able to, because I already had the plan written out for myself, to move forward quickly and try to start my teaching and coaching career. from there.
So we'll get to your career in a second. I have a interesting question though, because you're in an interesting space. So like you didn't play professionally, but you were able to play in college. And one of the things I always say to like my kids is like, if you're lucky enough to get a scholarship to go to college, like that, like there's this goal in life where you said like every kid has this dream of making the NBA or the NFL or the NHL or whatever. But it's almost like people forget that like if you're able to get to college and just play in college or even get a little bit of a scholarship or anything that helps you, like that's huge. Like, do you know how many people don't play past their senior year in high school? Like, forget about the NFL. How many people don't even play past their senior year in high school? So like, I'm interested to know what conversations you have with your students and like, whether it's in PE or when you're coaching basketball, like, does that ever come up? Like, yeah, you want to play in the NBA, but it doesn't have to be the end goal.
Yeah, it's 1,000% came up about almost every day with a lot of my athletes. We as coaches, like, you know, most of the PE teachers here at Forestview specifically played a collegiate sport some way or another, whether it was baseball or football. So we continuously have these conversations with our kids every day that like, look, like really it's like 1% of high school athletes. And I actually have a paper or not a paper, but like an email of like percentages. It has like it leads out percentages for how many athletes make college for whatever specific sport. And then from there, how many of them actually make professional. And it's like 1% of college athletes make it professional. And I think 3% of specifically like high school football players make it to even play high or college football. So the angle that I always took, and more specifically, we just had two young men actually sign, one to go play at Wingate, one to play at Lenore Ryan, football wise. And just talking with them, the angle that I've taken with them was, you know, look, it's not about like, it is about playing, but it's about your life more or less. You got to go to a place where you know you're going to be set up for success. It's going to believe in you, and it's going to help push you through, because when you get that degree, it does open up doors that you know that you're looking for, whether it's a job or, you know, a connection with somebody. And if you do get your opportunity to showcase your skills in front of a professional team, sure, do it. You know, but that's the angle I always take now, is that don't worry about any professional. Like, you need to worry about going into the school, and, you know, because I know how the route I took was, I got to figure out how to get on the travel squad. Then I got to figure out how to get playing time. Then I got to figure out how to get a starting role. Then I got to figure out how to maintain the starting role. So that's the kind of angle that I've taken with them.
That's interesting too, because it's like you kind of have like the little steps thing. Like there's a big picture, but you have to do a lot of little painting before you can, you know, have the final masterpiece. It's like it all goes together. All right, let's hop to you in the classroom now. How does what you do in coach on the basketball court, how does it connect to what goes on in your PE classes?
So a lot of our PE classes, they're you know, the games field, a lot of team involved activities, and I try to take, not like specifically like basketball or football or whatever, I just try to take each kid and put them on different teams throughout the year, and we do different games. Like we do have a basketball tournament, so to speak, and we have a game called lacrosse, which is a mix of hockey and lacrosse that was created here. Nice. And kids really do enjoy it and eat it up, and they have a good time. But a lot of what I do is I try to pick team captains, whether it's put kids' names in a randomizer on the, you know, Google or, you know, or something like that, or I just pick team captains, and then from there I allow them to draft their players, and they play with this team through a regular season, and then like a tournament, and then you have a championship. And a lot of it is just because I want them to learn the teamwork skills, because that's to me one of the most important skills to have is teamwork. Now, sports, yes, does teach you that, but like a lot of kids, I mean, you know, a lot of kids don't play sports, and they don't have any interest, and there's nothing wrong with that. Is they just want to, come to school and graduate, move on with their life. And, they have to pass a PE class in the process. But if I can anyway help develop their skills over the time, then that's what I do as far as working together with other people. And just even if they can develop a passion for a sport, then I'll be glad to, at least help them do that.
You mentioned that not all kids play sports, and I agree with you. There's a lot of kids that don't, and it's fine. Like, kids have different interests. Do you think there's anything, though, with kids being connected to sports? They don't have to play it, but like being connected to sports that you see them that affects them academically, and I would say like in a positive way?
I see it every day. Absolutely. If you are, in my opinion, if you are some way involved with a sport, whether it's you are a team manager or you are just a scorekeeper or, or even down to the athlete. But I think it definitely impacts kids in every way. It helps develop their skills as far as communication skills, and it helps develop teamwork skills. But really, it also just gives somebody something to look forward to. Because I feel like a lot of times kids more so than adults don't have anything to look forward to during the day. Like, a lot of times kids just have to sit at home, or they choose to sit at home because they don't have a way to get somewhere or a way to do something, or, enough friends or family that wants to do something with them. So they just get to, doing something like this gives them something to look forward to, and it creates a positive attitude as well.
You mentioned teamwork earlier. How do you approach the teaching of teamwork? Because like I teach fourth grade, so like teamwork's a big thing that I harp on all the time. And with 9 and 10-year-olds, it's ridiculous at like how we start the year. We don't want to work together and how hard it is to get them to work together. So I can only imagine what it's like with 14, 15, 16-year-old kids. So how do you approach that?
It doesn't change. If that makes you feel any better, they get up here and they still sometimes don't want to work together. But the route this year, the route I've taken is because I try to reflect after every season on myself and the current players that are returning and the current players that left or graduating. But one of the route I've taken this year specifically is saying that I've said to my basketball team, we're going to be whoever you guys want to be. If you guys want to be a bunch of individuals, then here's the more than likely outcome. If you guys want to be teammates and play together and do the right things and have fun together, then this is more than likely going to be the outcome. Now, how I try to tackle that is just different things in practice, different segments across practice, whether it's like a team building drill or they got to work together to do something. So, for example, we have like a free throw competition, and they know that if I give them a number, let's say, hey, as a team, you guys got to make 300 free throws in 8 minutes, which is, that's a lot, it seems like. But when you got 14 guys on the court and they're consistently shooting and you got 6 goals across the court for practice, and you can get that accomplished. But they got to hold each other accountable in that process. They got to communicate, because it's how many shots are we going to take a piece to try to hit and do this. So, it's a lot of work, but also too, it does create that teamwork accountability piece that they're able to look at each other and say, hey, man, I need you to make this shot. And because I need you just as much as you need me. And that's definitely helped us. Just little things like that, different segments across practice to help them build trust in each other and become teammates and become, a family, things of that nature.
You brought up accountability. So like, that's another big thing. Like, I'm big on, you got to be accountable for your actions. And like, there's consequences because of what you do, and it affects the team. It affects the overall outcome. How big is accountability with you? And then how do you stress that to your players and then also obviously in the classroom, your students? Like, how do you stress accountability?
I've tried different things, but the one thing that I've had major success with in accountability is creating some sort of environment where people have to hold other people accountable. So that could be, like you're forced to hold your teammate or your classmate accountable, whether it's, hey, like, because in class, we have a daily routine that we do. Before we do anything, we have a daily routine that we do of just type of bodily workouts, exercises, all body weight workout, just whether it's jumping jacks, push-ups, and stretch and a jog walk sequence that we do every day. And then when we start our game, a lot of times it's, okay, hey, right at the end of our daily routine, you have 2 minutes to grab water really quick, and then you need to sit with your team, whether it's in the huddle that we've created or the line that you're supposed to sit in and the designated team area that I've given you. And you have 2 minutes, and everybody needs to be sitting down facing where I am so we can get started on the games and get moving. And same way with basketball, or sports in general, like, hey, look, if one guy's late to practice, we all got conditioning. Or, hey, if you fall asleep in film, we all got an extra, whatever, conditioning or an extra something to do. And when you create that environment, kids and people in general, they start to hold each other accountable. They'll be literally, I've seen where they will be dragging their teammates in to practice so they're not late. Or, hey, sit down so when this 2 minutes ends, we don't have to restart the daily routine or whatever, and then it helps the flow of things start.
What's one thing that you think other teachers outside of the coaching realm, like what should teachers take from something, whether it's you do or you've seen other coaches do in the sports world, that can happen inside the classroom that you think is a positive thing?
I think everybody needs to be on the same page. And I think there's always a stigma out towards coaches. Yep. And some coaches, honestly, I'll say it, they've proved the stigma right, or, they've done something right. And I may catch backlash for that, and that's okay. But one thing I will say is that, because this isn't my first school that I've coached at, when everybody in the building is supportive of each other, adult-wise, is supportive of each other, that is when you will see the most success in a school and individual students' growth, and whether it's team or grades or, just the high school prom, like that, that's when you'll see the most success things, is when you have a community of people that are on the same page of just, hey, it may look different. Like, yeah, coaching looks different, but I'm still a teacher. I'm still teaching something. I'm still doing something for these kids and trying to help them. And it's the same thing in the classrooms, is that if you are bought into me, I can be bought into you as a teacher, as a coach. And, we're trying to accomplish the same thing. We want these kids to be successful in the classroom so they can in turn be successful in life using the skills that we've helped them develop.
What's a moment you can remember where you directly impacted a kid growing? Like, it could be anything. Just where did you impact a kid?
Well, this is just recent. A couple of days ago, the young man one of the young men, both of them, but more specifically one, I had a closer relationship with, where he wanted to play college football. He wanted to do the right thing, and he's got great grades in school. He's a smart student, very respectful young man. And one of the things where I could see where I impacted him was changing his work ethic. He was sort of lazy at first when he got here, and I constantly stayed on him, just trying to build him up, trying to show him the right way. And then when he finally listened and bought in, he was actually able to see and receive a scholarship offer to play. So that was that was just more exciting. And he probably doesn't even know this because we still talk, but he always comments, "Man, you're always so hard on me." But I was probably the most excited person outside of him and his family for him getting the offer.
Yeah, that's huge. One of the things that a lot of people struggle with, I mean, I struggled with it all through high school and then even college, and then I see it all the time in elementary kids, is confidence. Like, how do you teach and coach that confidence? Like, how do you because there's a lot of people who have talent, but they don't have the confidence to realize they have the talent. So then it kind of hinders them. So what do you do?
One thing I have taken a more bigger approach to, or a better approach to, is when they do something good, I let them know immediately. Like, hey, that's a great job, or that keep doing that. Do the same thing you just did here, and then just private conversations. Just, hey, look, you may feel this way, but like, here's what you're doing, and here's how it looks, and it is very good, and it is productive, and it does help. And it does, put this team or put yourself in a better position. You may not realize it yet, but it does. And I've seen kids go from little to zero confidence all the way to being the most confident person in the hallways to the, and you can't tell them nothing at that point, type of people. So, which is what I want, so.
What's the goal for your students? Like, what do you want them to take away from their time with you?
I just want students to know that they have a teacher that cares, just somebody that loves and will listen to you and will help you if you need the help. Now obviously not everybody's gonna feel that way, whether about me or about even my athletes. We had senior night this past Friday, and it was a very surreal moment for me because these were the guys that I started with when I first got to Forestview. These were the freshmen that I coached from the time they were freshmen and now seniors. And it was I just told them, like, look, I just want you guys to know that you have a friend in me. You have somebody that does love and does care about you. And it may not be the answer you want to hear, but I would do my best to help you and do my best to continue to push you to be in the best spots. And that's what I want everybody to know about me, is that's really what I want people to leave in my legacy whenever I'm done coaching. That's really what I want people to know, is that, like, hey, this coach cares, this person cares past a school or past a class or past a team. They care, Isn't
it great? So one of the reasons I became a teacher is, like, I wanted to, like, impact kids. Like, I wanted to help develop the growth. But you just said exactly what I thought about, like, my first year class was how much you don't realize, like, how much they impacted you. Mm-hmm. Like, they impacted me. Like, my first class ever will stick with me forever, as far as, like, they just changed me as a teacher. They impacted me. It's like I needed them at that point. And it's just weird because you don't think about that going in. And then it's like you sometimes get more out of them than they got out of you, Right.
And I think because we have such a tight-knit group here at Forestview for basketball specifically, that it's a very, like, it was a very, like, proud moment at the end of the game on their senior night. I got to see these kids grow, and I got to see them develop in who they are.
All right, let's do a little rapid fire now to get you a little bit more. What's your favorite sports movie?
Ooh, it'd be a tie between Remember the Titans and Coach Carter.
Ooh. All right. Nobody said Coach Carter yet. It's funny. Remember Titans always comes up. Like, I feel like Remember Titans is like the one, like, when you can't think of one real quick, you remember the Titans. If you could coach any professional sport team, what would it be?
I'd have to go with the Carolina Panthers. I'm a huge Panthers fan, even though, everybody always bash me, all my friends and stuff about it, but I would still, be the most happiest person in the world to be able to coach that team.
Yep. They always say there's only 32 NFL jobs. If you got one of them, who cares what team? I love the Panthers too. Is there a quote, like a sports quote, that sticks out to you?
The quote that has always, and I wouldn't necessarily call it a quote. It was something that I kind of came up on my own. Was when my first year, because I started out at York Chester Middle School. So my first year there was, you're not here to coach, you're here to impact. And that was just something that's has always stuck out to me, is that yeah, I'm coaching you. Yeah. But am I impacting you? Am I helping you? Am I really pushing you to be the best you can be? And that's what stuck with me.
I love that quote. Who's the most inspiring athlete in your opinion?
Inspiring athlete. You have your Jordans, which I'm a huge Michael Jordan fan because I'm a Tar Heel fan. But probably the most inspiring athlete that I say that I truly have enjoyed watching over the years was Cam Newton. But, now he's no longer a Panther, so he's retired. So
that's funny. You're the second person to bring up Cam Newton, and the other person who said it was also a Tar Heel fan, and the first one was Jordan, which I feel like Jordan's not to say, Jordan's an easy answer because especially in your age range, that's a good one to answer. But it's funny, Cam has come up now twice. Right. Did you have any pregame rituals as a player, and then do you have one currently as a coach?
As a player, it was just, I got to make sure I have the same undershirt on, the same pair of socks on, and of course washed, not not dirty or anything, but that was pretty much it. Just make sure I do all that. The same undershirt, same socks, and then tie my right shoe, then left shoe, and then that was it. And go out and play. And as a coach, it's just the ritual I have now is that before the game, I go into my office and kind of just sit by myself for about get dressed, get ready, kind of just sit by myself for about 5 to 10 minutes and just go over the last second game plan or last second thoughts that that I may see or I may be thinking about and try to look at, and then after that, it's when I walk out of the office, it's time to coach. So that's usually what I do.
What advice do you have for aspiring coaches?
The advice that I have is that make sure you're in a room when you are a head coach. I'll say that as a beginning coach, do everything you can to learn the game, whatever it is that you're coaching, and then at the same time do everything you can to look past the game and look at the fact that these are kids and that these are young people that will become adults one day, and you want to be able to be the best you can be for them to help them impact the lives of the future. But as a head coach, I had somebody tell me this, and I was kind of like, I don't know what that means, but now I do, being a head coach. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you because they'll make you look better. And so that's kind of the route that I've taken with being a head coach now. Is I got a great assistant coaches that they'll when it comes to game planning, we all work together, but they're definitely do this, we're going to do that, let's do, be on board with it.
All right, so last one before I get you out of here. Your goal in high school was to play, obviously, in the NFL. What's your goal now? What's the end goal now?
Well, my end goal is to obviously try to win a state championship. But my end goal now is continue to coach high school sports. And if the right opportunity comes for a collegiate sport, yes, I'll try. I'll see what that avenue may hold. But really, truly, my end goal now is to continue to impact the lives that I feel that God has put me in front of to do, and execute the job that I have now, and just continue to try to do the best I can for Forestview High School. And if a better, I'll say this, if a better job comes open or somebody wants me to apply, I probably won't, because I feel at home at Forestview and I want to continue to give back to this community. That's pretty much my end goal from there, is to see my kids, whenever I have kids, because I don't have any kids right now, come up and come through the same schools that I went through, play the same sports, and be on the same scale that I was, and see how it impacts their life as well.